Yeah, yeah.
Welcome to the Steelers by the Lake podcast. Had to give the good welcome because James is not here, unfortunately. My name is Cody Tanner, joined by special guest Nick Pretzel. Nick, welcome in. Appreciate you being here, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It's been a roller coaster of a week, but we're here. It's almost game day, and I can't complain. As the head says, life is good.
Life is good. Life is very good. We are excited to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles and the Pittsburgh Steelers game this weekend coming up Sunday, 1 o'clock game, I believe. It's a 1 o'clock kick. Super excited for that. Before we go too far talking about this game, we're going to talk some
425.
425. Okay, I was wrong. But let's talk about this real quick. Cole Holcomb injury updates. Cole Holcomb's recovery is going great. We may see him return this year. That would be crazy because, quite frankly, I think we have already on the team 3 starting caliber middle linebackers for different reasons. They all have, you can argue some of them have their weaknesses, but that's actually really, really, really impressive and exciting to be getting Cole Holcomb back. Nick, what are your thoughts?
I've always been a big Cole Holcomb fan. I'm excited to see him return from injury. I hope that he returns well. I know it's been a long process to get him back feeling 100%. So I'm really hoping that when he does come back, they don't rush it. I know it's been a long time even at this point, but I know he's got a history of injury, and so I prefer they don't rush him back because I enjoy watching him play. He was always fighting tooth and nail out there for us, stuff and runs. So I want him back, but I don't want him back before he's ready.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I think of guys in the past that have been rushed back after injury, and I've always been concerned with stuff like that. And so that is obviously one of those big concerns, making sure that he's completely healthy before he comes back. In other news, before we get too far out of this or into this, Russell Wilson currently is undefeated versus the Eagles in his NFL career. Interesting stat line to also process and parlay with Pittsburgh not winning a game in Philadelphia since 1965. So that is rough. Russell's undefeated. We haven't won in a while. How do we feel about those two stats, I should say?
It's an interesting combination to say the least. One of them is going to have to bend and break, and I'm sincerely hoping that it is not Russell Wilson's win streak against Philadelphia. I would very much love to see us break the streak of not being able to go into their turf, especially because it's kind of a pride thing. It's as Mike Tomlin said, the PA State Championship. So I'm looking forward to the matchup, but hoping that we can at least keep that Russell Wilson winning streak alive.
Yep, absolutely. And then real quick, we want to give a big shout out also to our sponsors. The Steelers by the Lake podcast is sponsored by Edinburgh Hotel Bar, a family-friendly, smoke-free environment located at 100 Meadville Street in Edinburgh. They offer a variety of dinner specials, including steak, seafood, and Italian pasta dishes. Located at 100 Meadville, like I said, in Edinburgh, PA. More information is available at 814-734-5103 or at edinburghhotel.tripod.com. Make sure to go check them out. They are awesome people. Pat's the owner. He's a big Steelers fan. We talk to him probably once a week because we're always there watching the game. So it is a good time. They throw on Renegade and have great food and a great atmosphere. So it is awesome, and we can't thank them enough for their support. Nick, with that being said, let's break down the injuries of these two teams real quick. So big injuries. I'm going to go over the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll let you take on the Philadelphia Eagles injury report here in a second. But looking at the Steelers, man, it is rough. So looking at this, Patrick Queen there's a handful of guys here that are going to be resting because of their veteran. They're just taking a rest day, whatever. On that list is Patrick Queen, Mike Williams, Najee Harris, Isaac Seumalo. TJ Watt's also listed on that. Also said he was dealing with an illness. I'm assuming that happened Friday, but we'll see what happens there. Cameron Hayward also resting, and then Landon Roberts, Michael Pruitt, and Cordarrelle Patterson. All those guys are just resting, dealing with, being old and veterans, taking a break. Real injuries, some of those being very concerning. We'll talk about them. George Pickens dealing with a hamstring injury. He already is listed as out for this week. Deshaun Elliott, the safety, also dealing with a hamstring injury. He is also listed as out this week. And then Montravius Adams, the defensive tackle, dealing with a knee injury. He fully participated all week. Again, he is more than likely being activated off of the IR here fairly soon. Excited for that. And then also Larry Ogunjobi dealing with a groin injury, didn't participate all week. He's going to be out. That's a big one. Also not a big one. It's going to be interesting to see how they do with that. And then Calvin Anderson, the backup offensive tackle, is listed as questionable with a groin injury. So all those guys are listed. Nick, what jumps out to you here on this injury list?
The TJ Watt illness jumps out to me first and foremost, mostly because TJ is such an integral part of the defense. I know we haven't seen as much from him this year as any of us were hoping, but that's because everybody's focused on TJ and opening it up for other guys. As you mentioned with James in previous episodes, Cam Hayward's having a monster year. Nick Herbig, Alex Highsmith, both able to contribute. My one buddy, shout out to Lauren Schillinglaw, big Steelers fan down in Texas. He was saying, TJ's Batman, Nick Herbig is Robin, and Alex Highsmith is Nightwing. We got the trifecta of pass rushers there. So TJ being ill this week does kind of raise a concern for me, especially because it seems Friday being a new development. But other than that, the Larry Ogunjobi, as you said, is a bit of a factor, non-factor, especially because Montravius Adams is looking like he's going to be coming back. So hopefully we can see some big plays out of him where Larry O was getting a little bit run over in the past few weeks. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, going to be very, very interesting. The Larry Ogunjobi one, again, I'm excited for the chance that this is going to give some young guys like Montravius Adams, if he winds up playing Isaiah Loudermilk, a bunch of younger guys are going to be able to play, which is very exciting in my opinion. The George Pickens ones is also very concerning. Philadelphia is better than the Browns. That's just a fact. So going up against Philadelphia with the, Cooper DeJean on defense and the guys that they have, we'll go over their depth chart here shortly. Not having George is going to hurt, but hopefully Mike Williams does get more involved. Again, he is a deep threat just like George, so hopefully they can do that. The big one that I think is kind of sneaky is Deshaun Elliott. Deshaun Elliott's been a stellar run defender, and going up against Saquon Barkley, I'm very concerned about this running defense, especially with that strong hitting safety not going to be there for us. So very, very interesting. Do you want to go over the Philadelphia Eagles injuries? We may have lost.
Yeah,
Nick
so looking
briefly.
at the Eagles side, we've got a lot of vets also being rested. bit of technical difficulties here as we're going along. But on the Eagles side, we do see a similar to the Steelers, a lot of vets resting for non-injury related purposes. Those include Mekhi Becton, looks like AJ Brown, and as well as Landon Dickerson and CJ Gardner-Johnson, Darius Slay, and Josh Sweat were all resting vets. In terms of actual injuries that we've got going on here, we've got Reed Blankenship, one of their two DBs in the pairing with Cooper DeJean, out with a concussion. We've got a shoulder injury for Jalen Carter. He was a teammate of George Pickens and Broderick Jones down in Georgia, big D tackle on the front of their line. He's limited this week. Looks like also there's a neck injury for wide receiver Britton Covey. Hadn't heard much of him throughout the season, so don't expect that to have too much of an impact. Linebacker Nakobe Dean, another, I believe, Georgia player that was out with an elbow injury. He's back to full. Cooper DeJean is limited. They were resting him there, but I know he had been previously dealing with a concussion as well. So he's looking to be coming back, even though they were just resting him there. Then we have Jalen Hurts. His left finger is injured. He's back to being a full participant in practice. And we've got Lane Johnson out with some personal reasons, not included in the resting for being a vet, but he just had something going on. And then finally, Johnny Wilson, another wide receiver you don't hear too much of too often, was out with an illness. So a lot going on there. Not a lot of it due to actual injury, but some key pieces in there that are dealing with a few things that might keep them a little bit down in terms of Jalen Hurts and Cooper DeJean and the like.
Yeah. And again, only one of those guys listed as out is the Britton Covey. Again, a wide receiver we haven't heard much of. Not really concerned about that. It's not going to play a factor. But Reed Blankenship listed as a safety dealing with a concussion, and then also Sidney Brown dealing with a knee injury, another safety, and then a third safety, CJ Gardner-Johnson, which again, these guys are listed as safeties. I've seen, I feel like I've seen Gardner-Johnson play corner before or drop down into a lower defender secondary position. But again, there's a lot of guys on this list that Pittsburgh could maybe take advantage of if they were actually out or if they were actually hurt, if there was something going on. Unfortunately, a lot of these injuries, the big one in my mind is the Jalen Carter DT, like dealing with a shoulder injury. That could be huge for the running game if we can, not injure the shoulder more, but make sure we take advantage of what shoulder he's having issues with, push that side, pull that side, whatever you got to do. Could take advantage of that. Again, the only guy listed as out is Britton. So not a whole lot to go off of here. They're probably kind of just waiting it out. Unless the game time decision, none of these guys are questionable. I'm assuming they would have had to alerted by now. So again, unless something changes to game time decision, most of these guys are going to play, and most of these guys will be suited up for this Pennsylvania State Championship. We're going to bounce over real quick and talk about the depth chart. So let me pull this up on screen if you're watching on YouTube. We're going to go over the depth chart real quick. Quarterback Jalen Hurts obviously is a beast, phenomenal player, obviously been to the Super Bowl. Very, very interested to see how we handle him. Excuse me, Jalen Hurts has not been in the Super Bowl. I'm processing Nick Foles back in the day. Running back Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is a big concern. Need to watch out for him. Wide receivers Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson, A.J. Brown. All these guys are very, very capable wide receivers, especially A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown, the last time he played us, put up 3 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. And then you got the tight end group, Grant Calcaterra and C.J. Uzoma. Excuse me. All these guys are very, very capable. It's a very talented offense. And then you look at the offensive line. Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Mekhi Becton, and Lane Johnson are the starting 5 offensive line. Probably one of the, if not the best offensive line in the NFL. You could definitely make that argument before Kelsey retired. After Kelsey, Cam Jurgens came in. But again, this is an offensive line that has a leading rusher with Saquon Barkley behind them. There's a lot of potential with this team. They're going to give Jalen Hurts time to throw the ball. A lot of things to be concerned about here. What are you most concerned about?
On my end, I'm definitely concerned about their rushing attack. One thing that I'm probably not as concerned about is our pass rush. Mekhi Becton was one of the guys listed as still having a bit of a nagging injury. So that bodes well for either Keanu Benton or Cam Hayward being able to get in there. But on the flip side, then with our rushing defense has not been consistent. We've had splashes of great, and we've had elements of being not so great. So I'm hoping that we can kind of repeat what we did with the Ravens and with Derrick Henry and kind of just take Saquon and stuff him. But It's going to be an uphill battle, especially since we're going into their turf. So the biggest worry for me is our run defense and their rush attack. But hopefully we can make them pay on the other side of the ball with our own pass rush and being able to kind of work on that injured right guard there.
Yeah. I think the big 2 concerns here are Saquon and obviously A.J. Brown. Those guys are monsters in their respective positions at football. Excuse me. let's bounce over to the defensive side and kind of break this down a little bit. The defense is very, very interesting and very, very talented. So we're going to look at these guys. Two edge rushers. They got Josh Sweat and Nolan Smith Jr. Again, Josh Sweat was listed on that injury list with an illness. Not sure if he'll be playing or not. Nolan Smith is a very, very capable edge rusher. And then you got the 3 D tackles, the 3 interior linemen, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, and Milton Williams. All these guys are movers, monsters, gonna push the pocket, gonna create mayhem, gonna hit Najee in the backfield. They're gonna have some aspect of penetration, and we definitely want to limit that moving forward. Jalen Carter, again, a big boy. Jordan Davis as well. Looking at the linebackers, Nakobe Dean, again, a guy listed on that injury report. He is backed up by Jeremiah Trotter Jr. So interested to see he is the son of a former Philadelphia Eagle, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he played for Philly, Jeremiah Trotter as well. And then Zach Bond, the other linebacker, very talented defensive front, very, very talented. And then you get to the cornerbacks and the safety room, which is just crazy. You got Darius Slay Jr. At the cornerback 1 position, Quinion Mitchell at the 2, and then Cooper DeJean playing the nickel. Cooper DeJean was a guy that James, myself, and even you, Nick, coming out of the draft, were very, very high on. Would have loved to seen Pittsburgh get him. Unfortunately, we didn't. Very capable cornerback. And then there's 2 safeties, C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Reed Blankenship. Again, Blankenship dealing with a concussion. C.J. Gardner-Johnson was rested. But very interested to see how we can combat the talent on this defense with play calling, especially when play calling has been a weak spot, in my opinion, of this Pittsburgh Steelers offense. Where are you most concerned, or where do you think Pittsburgh needs to really, really put something together on offense for this defense?
There are a few things that are concerning to me this week. First and foremost is the pass attack for us without George Pickens. I know we were able to put up the numbers against the Browns, but there's a big difference between, I believe, the 11-1 or the 12-1 Eagles and the 3-10 Cleveland Browns. There's going to need to be an increase in attack and to target Mike Williams a bit more to get him more involved as George Pickens is sidelined for the foreseeable future. Also getting some of those other guys involved. Van Jefferson stepped up a bit. Scotty Miller surprised us and stepped up quite a bit. So we can get some of those guys involved more. Cal Austin was looking really good until he was put into the concussion protocol. So I want to see a solid pass attack. And the other thing that worries me a bit is our rushing attack.
Yep.
I've seen clips of a lot of guys on the Eagles just crashing the box. I saw DeJean pick up and throw Derrick Henry a week or so ago. So I'm not overly optimistic about our rushing attack this game. I'm going to need to see, something new out of Arthur Smith. He's going to have to scheme something up. He's going to have to attack him in a different way, or the O-line is just really going to have to keep them away from collapsing that box and letting Najee just hammer down the field. It'll be interesting to see. I'm hoping they can do it, but I'm not optimistic about our rushing attack against this very, in my opinion, robust Philly defense.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be very interesting. Again, like you said, I hope that they involve Mike Williams. You brought him in here. 1 week he didn't even play. It felt like you got to use him. Put the man to work. He wants to catch some more touchdowns for sure. Looking at the special teams here, punter Braden Mann, kicker Jake Elliott, holders obviously Braden Mann as well, long snapper Rick Lovato, and then punt return is listed as Britton Covey. Again, he is going to be the only guy listed as out. Cooper DeJean may be getting the start at punt returner,
I believe so.
And then kick returner Kenneth Gainwell and Will Shipley listed as those guys. Again, that's just the special teams. We got to give those guys respect. They play on an NFL roster, so we're going to talk about them. So that's how that goes. Now it is time for our 3 keys to success and score predictions. I'm going to go first. I will share James's. James shared his with us before the show. Again, James is not here. He had some things going on, and we wish him all the best for tonight. He's going to have a good time. But with that being said, my 3 keys to success, Nick, are going to be number 1, create long third down attempts. I want to see Pittsburgh either stuffing the run with Saquon, or getting some sacks and making them have to go for 3rd and 12 or 3rd and 15 or more. I would love to see a 3rd and 30. Who knows? Maybe that might happen. But making that Philadelphia Eagles offense have to go further on 3rd down is going to be big moving forward. Number 2, I want to see specifically the defensive line room with the loss of Larry Ogunjobi for this game. I want to see the defensive line room, not including the outside linebackers, come up with 2 sacks. I don't care where they come from, specifically who gets them, but I want to see them have 2 sacks. I think that would make a big impact. And then lastly, I want Russell Wilson to again, I want us to pass the ball heavily. I want to see Russell Wilson clear 300 yards passing. I think that would be really good. I think with the lack of George Pickens, that not only would help us in this game, but it would help us moving forward if teams can see that we can still be a passing threat against a stellar defense and put those kinds of yards up. They're going to be even more threatened when George is back in. I'm going to share James's real quick. James has number 1 being a balanced offensive attack with 125 yards rushing and 250 yards passing.
Absolutely. I think those are
number 2 is slow down Saquon, less than 75 yards, all-purpose yards, which would be incredible and crazy to see that happen.
Sorry.
Number 3, don't let AJ burn ya, is what he put specifically. Don't let AJ burn ya. Less than 85 yards receiving for AJ Brown because, again, he previously torched us for 3 touchdowns in 1 game. Nick, would you like to share your 3 keys to success?
Absolutely. Had a bit of a technical difficulty there, so I apologize for jumping in there. But in the interest of James not being here, we're going to crack one for these 3 keys to success. So I had a couple of different things here, and I believe that one of mine you touched on, if I heard you properly during the getting in and out there. So I'm going to use my alternative one that I had as well. So my first one is we got to play clean football. Too many times in the past recent we've had way too many penalties. So I want to see them. I don't want to see them have any, ideally, but they've got to keep it at least under 3, in my opinion. If they go any more, we're going to be giving up 2 yards. We're going to be getting pushed back too far. I want to see, especially Joey Porter Jr., have a very clean game. He's been having a somewhat questionable calls from refs but he's also got to just play cleaner. And if he does, then they have nothing to call. My second key to success is I touched on briefly earlier. Let's get Mike Williams involved. I want to see at least 8 targets for him, which is more than he's seen in his time as a Steeler thus far. I don't think that we're going to be doing ourselves any favors by not trusting our deep ball veteran, and I think that getting him involved, we'll see some more success. And then finally, I put finish drives in the end zone. I love Chris Boswell, Boz for president, but I would really like to see us put up at least 3 touchdowns. I think that will be huge to our success in this game, and I don't think that if we put up only field goals like we did against the Ravens, that we're going to be doing much against the Eagles. They're both bird teams, and something about them, we got to put the ball in the end zone.
No, I'm right there with you. I love those. Now we're going to do score predictions. I have Pittsburgh winning 27-17. I think that they get the 3 touchdowns you're looking for and then 2 field goals at some point in the game. And then last but not least, I'm going to share James's and then you can share yours, which is technically last but not least. James has the Eagles winning 28-24. So he has us taking the L. But Nick, go ahead and share your score predictions.
I also have it being a bit of a slugfest here. I have it ending with a score of 31-28 with the Eagles coming out on top. Unfortunately, I hope it doesn't happen, but that's what I foresee coming to pass.
Oof. He has us taking the L. With that being said, if you guys want to share your 3 keys to success or your score predictions, feel free to share with us on social media or comment on the YouTube video if you're watching on YouTube. Again, we can't thank you guys enough for watching or listening. Again, we apologize for the technical issues today. James was not here. Nick was here. We're very happy that Nick was here, and thank you for showing up and being on the show tonight. We can't thank you guys enough. Again, be sure to like and follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Subscribe, ring the bell. It's free. Don't forget the 5-star reviews and podcast. Make James very happy when he comes back for the recap show. And until next time, this is your host and special guest, James and Nick, signing off.